So, where are we? Sorry, I haven't posted in a while. There's a very good reason, which I'm about to let you know. As you all know, that we had that second pending bullshit eviction. So I filed the Chapter 7. So, Nathan and his, shithead attorney, Ed Hayes, and they brought in this Martha chick now, too, who handles bankruptcies, filed a motion to dismiss the bankruptcy, which, we'll see where that goes anyway. But, what happened was, and I couldn't disclose this at the time because the authorities hadn't quite caught up at the time. So here's what happened. You all know about the fraudulent mortgage that was presented to Judge Verway. I say that with very, very loose intentions on that one. Judge, no, he shouldn't even be on the bench. So at this point, presented the fraudulent mortgage at the hearing. I pointed out to the judge. He ignored it, and basically, with the swipe of a pen, made my life a living hell. And perpetrated a crime basically with Nathan and Ed Hayes. Ed Hayes, I'm going to throw out there on it too because he's just as much as a criminal. So, not only did they present the fraudulent mortgage as evidence, they also presented copies of cashier's checks from PNC, which were in the exact amount of this alleged bid 3 days before any alleged sale. So again, unless he had a crystal ball or help, as we'll say, from the tax director, Jonathan Schuck, and from the sale coordinator, Dave Unger, who are also, at this point, criminals. Because the PNC checks, I went to PNC. I went to the branch, and I met with the manager. And the manager looked at the checks. He went into another office, I guess with another manager. Came back to me. He said, these checks are fake, and I need you to call the fraud department. So I did, and called and spoke with somebody there, and they took all the information off the checks, the ones from Stone Bay Holdings, to pay for my home. Put me on hold for a while, came back to the phone, and told me that not only are the checks fake, they're counterfeit. Presented for payment and bounced. And our tax director allowed it. Our tax director was involved. And Verway was involved. Because all of those things were presented as evidence in those hearings. The tax director created a distribution sheet based on counterfeit checks that bounced. Issued a deed to my home to this man based on counterfeit checks that bounced. Has pulled it off of upset 5 additional times. Allowed this man to drive my equity into the ground by creating tax debts to a fake address with a fake owner's name where the bills were returned undeliverable for counterfeit checks that bounced. So what I've been saying all along, that there was no sale because there was no tax liens. There was no auction where he was the highest bidder, paying $212,000 cash in hand, as written on the deed by Jonathan Schuck. Cash in hand. Counterfeit checks that bounced in hand. So you tell me how much the county is out right now that he's taking counterfeit checks that bounced, and then paid the trustee $64,000 from counterfeit checks that bounced. So where does that sit right now? And Ed Hayes filed, to get the rest of the money from the counterfeit funds. So now the county's going to be out over $120,000 because those checks never cleared. They were never real checks. So how is the distribution coming out to pay these people from distribution from funds that never existed? But yet, Verway, the freaking moron on the bench, I'm going to go there. That man shouldn't even have the right to wear a robe. He shouldn't have the right to collect trash in the fucking courthouse, as I'm concerned. Because really, that's where it's going. The man is so corrupt, and he's just as much of a criminal because he knew it. He had those checks in his hearing. in the December hearing in December 2022 when they pulled us in there for the other bullshit. When we were told that basically, yeah, fraud exists, but not my problem. So Verway knew in both hearings where he sat on the bench having conversations with everybody before we arrived. The second hearing where they didn't notify Todd for anything. You know, this is so ridiculous and so unconstitutional. So again, you know, anybody out there that knows the sheriff, if this goes that way, let him know. Don't even try. Because you'll be part of the crime too. Because you will be perpetrating and handing over $1 million based on fraud, based on crime, based on counterfeit. So explain to me why this man is not in jail. Well, as odds would have it, that's been handled too. Because I went back to the state police, the ones that I filed the complaint with, to let them know who to call at PNC, which has been escalated to their executive fraud department. So to get him all the information and give them their investigation number and all that stuff, I let him know, you know, dropping off that information. Well, the state trooper caught me as I was walking out the door and, you know, it kind of yelled my name from the background. I turned around and there's the state trooper. And he said, I just want to let you know that, you know, we did escalate this to criminal. So that was just last week. You know, we just found out about the PNC checks about 2 weeks ago. So, Chester County, everybody in the group, what do I need from you? At this point, I'm not sure. What I need everybody to know is that this man delivered counterfeit checks to the county tax director from an alleged sale 6 months later. These checks were dated December 13th of 2019. He delivered a deed to this asshole 6 months later, June 30th, 2020, along with the other deeds he transferred that day. You gonna tell me in 6 months you didn't know those checks bounced? You didn't know they were counterfeit, Mr. Tax Director of the county? So how do you not know after 6 months? I think you know after a week of bouncing. You know, as far as I remember, if I bounced a check, which, yeah, it's happened to all of us. Maybe not all of us, but yeah, I'll admit it, I've done it. You know, I suck at accounting. But, yeah, they were on my ass in a week. So explain to me how this dude delivers $200,000 in counterfeit checks. They bounce. That was Bobby imitating the bouncing movement. So they bounce, and he still gives them a deed 6 months later. And takes money out of county funds. God knows where they came from. Anybody here in the county, you might want to look into that. Where'd that $64,000 come from? Because it wasn't from distribution payments in my house. They don't exist. So, where are we at? We need Judge Verway off the bench because a little swipe of his pen has made my life a complete living hell. I've had to fight this and fight this and fight this. And where are we now as far as anything else? I don't know. But, once again, let this county know. Let the top people in this county know. Our county commissioners, our sheriff, who we elected. Let's get that straight. We elected this sheriff. We elect these commissioners. So, what are they going to do about it? I'd like to know. Wouldn't you? Bobby's saying yeah. We'd like to know. We'd like to know. What are they going to do about it? We now know that our tax director perpetrated a crime by accepting counterfeit checks and counterfeit funds, distributing more funds from the county, which God knows where they came from because it wasn't from mine. And now Mr. Warren Kampf, is going to issue another $64,000 check to the Kevin Jackson Group. So now the county's at $120,000 without any money being paid in. And they're also out all the taxes that this guy evaded. Wonder if he ever got a check for the other house they transferred the deed to. 2 properties worth over $1 million paid in full. Imagine that. Our constitutional rights don't mean jack diddly shit anymore. they can just